There are souls. It's not really a number when it's in the mystical, but there are multitude of souls awaiting their opportunity. Some are stuck in the astral dimension. The astral dimension, there are many, many different dimensions, and I've traveled through so many of them. And the astral dimension has, it's like billions of souls that are stuck. I guess the Catholics called it purgatory. You haven't been that bad, but you haven't been that good. And so this astral plane has many very, very aware souls, because when you're in that particular, this astral plane where you're stuck, you're actually stuck, awaiting to be reborn so that you can become free and you don't have to be there again. They can see everything because they are no longer in duality, really. They're still in duality, but they're not in the physical body anymore. So it's extremely upsetting for them, and because they can see everything that's going on. And that's why some people that channel certain entities, these entities are actually from the astral, and they can sound extremely intelligent and very, very mystically bright because of the fact that they have been around for a long, long time, many of them. And so when they first, as I was awakening, they started coming into my meditation. And of course, when you are contacted by a soul that is stuck like that, they can be in a very confused state of consciousness, and it's really, really weird. And I didn't know how to have them go away, because when they feel light, they want to immediately get as much light as they can so that they can raise their vibration, and they can, because it's not just a body that has vibration, it's consciousness. We are all immortal consciousness, so that they can be reborn either on this planet or somewhere else, so that they can have an opportunity to become free. So I actually, one astral being that came to me, he said, he or she, you don't know, because it's not like speaking to someone, it's all done in a psychic way, and you just feel the vibration of them. You can't see each other or anything, it's just in this particular space. And he or she said, I felt it was once a he. I think the past life was once a he. And he said, I haven't been able to contact anyone, not even anyone on the astral plane that he couldn't contact, for 500 of your years. And he said, this is the first time, will you please pray for me to be free of this? I know that you can. And then so after that, I did got some downloads from the divine, so to speak, on what to do to assist these astral planes. And this is one of the reasons how the Light Transmission Academy came about, because we learn how to free souls so they can be reborn, to heal past, present, and future relatives. There are so many deep things that are going on, because there is only the divine dimension. But I asked the divine in a deep meditation to release me from ever being able to contact the astral plane again, but obviously to be able to free them, if it comes into my consciousness, to be able to free the ones that just need that extra little bit of light to be able to be reborn, so they're not stuck. Because we don't want anyone to suffer, no matter what plane of existence they're on, correct? But we also don't want to get involved with the astral plane, because it's so enormously, I won't say entertaining, but the feeling that you get when you come out of one of these experiences, you feel very high. You feel on high, because but your energy will be drained because of the fact that they want that light. You're like a happy meal to them. So you don't want to be around that sort of thing. And I am not knocking channelers at all. There are many gifted people that have been able to, but it's not good for you to be involved with that, because we are here with the purpose of life for enlightenment, for you to be free. And when we get involved with too many different things that take out, because it's so attractively enticing and it feels great, but you want to get away from that. And as soon as I asked the divine to not be able to get into that astral plane, I was free of it, absolutely free of it. So then I could go into higher states of consciousness. And it's really, really fascinating. Who am I? Why are we here? What is my purpose? All of these souls waiting to be reborn so that they can become awakened. We have been given the privilege of this particular birth to have at the bottom of the spine, excuse me dear, at the bottom of the spine, this beautiful kundalini. And it is the blood. It is the part of us that is still in the eternal ocean of light. And it is just sitting there waiting to come up the Sushumna, that hollow, well, it's not hollow, it's stuck with crap, to clear and activate the chakras. And every single person has that. Every single person on the planet will feel it. And it's like with when you see newborn babies, you just say, hi, remember that you're God when you grow up, will you? And you can feel the energy from it so beautifully, from children and animals, of course. And so this beautiful kundalini is very, very challenging to get her to come up and when there's so much muck there. So you've got this beautiful diamond and it has been glistening, and it is like, let's look at it like this then, rather. Like, just say you've got this diamond. This is you, this little diamond or one of these. And you are shining, you are shimmering, you are immortal consciousness, you are in the ocean of eternal light. That is where you actually live and breathe, right here, right now. We're not in this physical body, we just think we are. And so when it starts getting all this muck around it from emotional habits, like my teacher used to say, it's like a line of attention. It's like you can't get rid of that particular experience. It still replays in your life, but just with a different name or a different job title. But you still have the same experience. You move, but the neighbors are still bitches, whatever, or bastards, because you're still there. You have a line of attention. You keep recreating the same experience with a different name and a different face. Like they say, even though you move, wherever you are, there you are. So this is what a light transmission does, to go deeper so that you can find your true purpose. Your purpose is to become enlightened. It is what we do along the way, the journey, what we do along the way to have that enlightenment. But it is very, very challenging to awaken on your own. A Mahasiddha can totally awaken without a teacher transmitting light, because they have been enlightened lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. They are, I can't say 100%, but usually the only ones that become enlightened on their own because they were enlightened before. And it's like Vivekananda. Vivekananda, one of Sri Ramakrishna's favorite students, he said, Sri Ramakrishna, the students were talking about some things about samadhi, and he said, oh, what are you talking about? That's what happens to me every night. And they all looked at him and they said, what are you talking about every night? Well, ever since I was a child, I would just sit up and I'd take a deep breath, and the room would be filled with light, and then I'd wake up in the morning. And because he didn't know any different, he hadn't discussed it with anyone, he thought that happened to everyone. He thought that's how people went to sleep since he was a baby. And Sri Ramakrishna said, well, that's because you were born enlightened. You were born awakened again. But he just didn't understand it. He didn't understand so he went into becoming a Mahasiddha very quickly, Vivekananda, just after Sri Ramakrishna left, actually. But anyway, getting back to the light transmission. So when I met my teacher, her hands, I could see that they were gold light. And I was looking at everyone, and I could see everything turning to liquid. I mean, from the first moment I met her, because I'd known her in so many lifetimes. And I could feel my eyes tearing up, and I was like, what is going on here? Why isn't everyone else in the room just going, oh, can't they see what's going on here? And I thought, oh my God, am I going insane? And I knew I wasn't already a crazy person, but I knew I wasn't insane. I was seeing something mystical, and I felt this great love and energy towards her. I didn't think she was particularly a great speaker. She hadn't been teaching that long, and I'd been teaching for years, but I knew I had to be a beginner. If she could take me on as a student, I knew I had to be a beginner, even though I've been teaching for years, because this was someone who knew God. This was someone who was awake, didn't quite understand what enlightenment was. But after even just 2 years of studying with her and meditating and having her transmit light that she did to her students, her consciousness from her reawakening, that is how my Kundalini awakened so quickly. So what's happening is, as the teacher is transmitting light, the brain is the different parts of the brain that are normally dormant. You know, God didn't give you this huge brain not to be able to have it used, for the eternal to use it, to use the different things to create different miracles. Some people call them siddha powers. Hindu call them siddha powers. And that awakens your talents and your gifts and the powers that you are supposed to have be able to have God use you to release suffering in this world. And so that's why when you first begin to really feel it, you feel like there's tingling in your brain and maybe waves of ecstasy come through you when light is being transmitted. Maybe it takes a few years for some people to feel that, but it doesn't mean that it's still not happening. Some people feel it immediately. And so when the teacher does that, it's like the Kundalini down here is attracted to its own energy, and it starts vibrating and scrubbing clean the Sushumna, and you can feel it through your back. You know, some people think they're awakened and they've had a Kundalini awakening just because they feel it once, like a rush up through their spine. But it's not a full awakening. It's just the Kundalini is coming up. It's being attracted to here. And then when you begin to meditate and actually do the work yourself, if you start building up a higher vibration and it starts really clearing out the all of those emotions that have to be melted, they have to be dissolved. It starts dissolving the things that we're stuck to from the past experiences of not just this life, but many, many past lives. And that's something that unless you've been enlightened many, many lifetimes, that you can't do on your own. Having an enlightened teacher, even though I had so much success in my life and had done so many different things, but it was like I came home to freedom. And it was I never in a million years in my consciousness thought I would become awakened. I was with my teacher because I wanted to know more about God, about my purpose. Why was I here? And then you begin to realize all of the things that you've done in your past, every experience you've had, whether it was a hurtful experience or something happy, you learn accounting, whatever it is, all of those experiences are there for you to be able to be truly on purpose. It's really, really quite interesting to become a beginner, and then you are more open and receptive to receive the light. When our mind, our consciousness starts saying, oh, well, I know that, you ask yourself, do you know it or have you read it and you remember it? Because knowing something is actually having the experience of it. An experience of something is a satori. You have a satori. You have an actual experience of that thing. It's like saying, someone once, just a few weeks ago in an interview said, how do you know you're enlightened? And I said, that's like asking a 9-month pregnant woman, how do you know you're pregnant? It is something you don't have to question. You don't have to say, oh, am I or aren't I? What level of consciousness am I at? And that is why I wrote in Through the Sea of Unlimited Consciousness, that portion of the book, about the different levels of consciousness, so that people could not be too egotistical and think they were highly conscious, and not be too humble, and because they could be at a very high level and not understand that they are. Because it's good to know where you are in consciousness, which has got nothing to do with ego, so that you can read and navigate your purpose and find out why you're here. In my